Welcome to the Happy Hour. My name is Matthew Berry. You are Jay Croucher, and what a game last night.
Yeah, absolutely brutal on all fronts, including as a spectacle from a fantasy perspective. There wasn't too much happening. We can take a look at the notable performers, I guess. James Conner did a bit. That was about it.
James Conner was good. Rhamondre Stevenson had a bad game. He gets hurt. Kyler Murray, of course, gets hurt as well. We'll talk about that as you see that Devontae Parker, all three of them obviously left with injuries. All three of them left with injuries early in the game. We'll talk about that in a second. But just other than James Conner, it was other than James Conner and honestly, the New England Patriots defense, it was a disappointing fantasy game all around. And so let's break that down. It's really frustrating if I'm being honest here.
Yeah.
What's really frustrating is not only, incredibly frustrating first round of my playoffs, obviously, with me having Hopkins and Murray and playing against a guy that stupidly started Evan Ingram and then it worked out for him, and Brock Purdy having a monster game, is that, I feel like I want to complain, right, in a big way. I want to do I typically rant, and, I'm super frustrated. But the truth of the matter is that it's very insignificant. It's very insignificant compared to the fact that Kyler Murray suffers an awful, horrible injury, and you see something like that and you're just like, all right, well, my dumb fantasy league matchup doesn't matter. Yep. It doesn't. So awful injury. ESPN's Josh Weinfuss after the game tweeting, source said there is, quote, little doubt that it's torn, referring to Kyler Murray's ACL injury. Of course, here's the play. Third play of the game, he's scrambling to the right side and then just goes down, a non-contact injury. He knew immediately, and you see right there, the Patriots, they also knew immediately. Yeah. They're immediately waving to the sideline to get people out there. Just awful to see. We have not received official word on what the injury is. The suspicion is that it is a torn ACL, and he is done for the year, and honestly, probably will miss a significant amount of time next year as well.
Yeah, I think so. And, obviously terrible news all around, and our thoughts go out to Kyler Murray in terms of the impact and Colt McCoy. And
Kyler Murray's family, his friends, his fans, everyone in the Arizona Cardinals, universe, and of course, all of us that, have him on our fantasy teams, that root for him, that, wish the best for him. Tough to see.
Yeah, not anything, obviously, that you want to see. And we've had a lot of superstars go down between Kyler Murray, between Breece Hall, Javonte Williams earlier in the season. It's been a tough year.
But it absolutely has. So, unfortunately, we do have to talk about the fantasy impact of this. And I would write off last night completely when it comes to the fantasy impact here. Colt McCoy's fine. He's not good, Jay. He's not, amazing.
No.
But he's fine. I know we didn't look at last night, but, again, the game plan you designed for Kyler Murray is very different than the game plan you designed for Colt McCoy. They went into this game. All the practice had been for Kyler Murray. Colt McCoy probably threw 5 passes all week in practice. They were gearing up to play the Patriots on Monday Night Football, and so Cliff Kingsbury will now adjust his offense to tailor it more towards Colt McCoy.
Yeah, and I think Colt McCoy has shown a level of competence, a baseline that means that guys like DeAndre Hopkins and Marquise Brown, they should be able to still produce production. As you can see, the 3 games this season with Colt McCoy. DeAndre Hopkins was 12.3 targets per game, 89.3 yards. Obviously, Marquise Brown wasn't there for all of those games.
He had 8 targets in the one game. James Conner got 19 touches, averaging over 19 fantasy points. You see it all there on your screen. Trey McBride is up there. He averaged 3 targets and 15 yards a game. But again, Zach Ertz was healthy for some of that. I think you could see an uptick in Trey McBride's usage because, again, Colt McCoy doesn't have the strongest arm, and so he likes the middle of the field. When Rondell Moore comes back, I think you'll see him used quite a bit as well. And so for those of you that have Cardinals players on your team and you're heading into the fantasy playoffs and you're like, oh, what are we going to do about Kyler Murray? Are they as good without Kyler Murray? They're not. Colt McCoy doesn't have the arm strength or the accuracy of Kyler Murray. Obviously doesn't have the rushing upside either, but I think he's going to be fine. I don't think I have Hopkins on a number of playoff teams, and he's going to be fine. He's still going to get a bunch of targets. He's still really good.
Yeah, I think the takeaway there is that last night, DeAndre Hopkins, Marquise Brown, they had 19 targets between them. Now, they didn't connect on a lot of those targets, but I think that the workload will be there for those guys. Let's talk about the Patriots backfield. Rhamondre Stevenson, another victim to injury last night. He leaves, tries to come back in. Don't know exactly what the prognosis is there. And then, just as we drew it up, it's the Pierre Strong show and the Kevin Harris show. Who do you prefer out of these two guys?
Well, you know what? I guess I would say if I had to pick one, it's Pierre Strong, right? I mean, because felt like initially when Rhamondre went down, and understand Damien Harris was inactive for this game. And so we'll see if he comes back next week, and we'll talk about him in a second. But Rhamondre Stevenson goes down. Immediately they come back with Kevin Harris. But honestly, it felt like once they started, okay, what are we doing, right? Okay, we've lost Rhamondre for the game. He's not coming back. He came back for a second, then left again. Once they realized that, they went to more Pierre Strong. In the second half, Pierre Strong outsnapped Kevin Harris 18-9. Right, we saw the big playability where he got 44 of his 70 rushing yards on that one run, that one big run. He does score the touchdown. Kevin Harris also gets the touchdown as well. So Kevin Harris, 6th-round pick from South Carolina in 2022, played just 9 snaps in the second half, had negative rushing yards. Pierre Strong, more of a pass-catching back. And so my expectation here is I think there's a chance we see Damien Harris this next week. There's also a chance Rhamondre Stevenson's injury isn't that serious, and we see him. Patriots play the Raiders this week. Rhamondre Stevenson is from Las Vegas. The game is in Las Vegas. You figure Rhamondre is going to try to do everything he can to be out there to play in that game. So I wouldn't be going crazy on the waiver wire. Worth noting, by the way, Damien Harris is available in 50% of Yahoo leagues. So it's certainly worth seeing if he's out there in yours. I would rank them if I was heading to the waiver wire tonight and I was trying to take a stab at the Patriots backfield. And again, I think there's a chance Rhamondre Stevenson plays this week. I would rank them Damien Harris, Pierre Strong, Kevin Harris.
Yep.
That's how I'd rank them and trying to go after them in the playoffs. Again, there's a chance that Damien Harris is back as well, and we know it'll be a committee.
Yep, as it tends to be.
England. Especially if Stevenson is out.
Not a committee in Arizona where
No.
James Conner last night plays 95% of offensive snaps. He has a huge game, 15 carries, 85 yards on the ground and a touchdown, and then also gets the receiving work. 7 targets, catches 6 of them, and it was the #1 fantasy player on the night.
Yeah, the truth of the matter, again, you never want to say an injury is good for anything. That was awful. I think everyone collectively feels awful for Kyler Murray. But if there is a positive fantasy spin to an injury such as that, it is that Colt McCoy is much more likely to check down than Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is one of these guys that can throw it 70 yards without thinking. You know what I mean? He's got that kind of arm. Colt McCoy does not. And so it was not surprising to me that Conner was much more involved in the passing game, especially, by the way, given just how badly dominated that Cardinals line was. I mean, the Patriots defensive line just had their way.
Yes.
I felt so bad for Colt McCoy. He was just under siege all night.
Yeah, Matthew Judon with the quietest 14.5 sack season of all time.
It's unbelievable the kind of year he's having.
Just keeps on producing.
Yeah.
Before we move
But anyway,
on.
so I do think James Conner, with Colt McCoy under center, James Conner is a borderline RB1 for the fantasy playoffs because the passing game usage will increase.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, before we move on, let's quickly take a look at the AFC playoff picture.
Yep.
With New England's win last night. I mean, it really looked like they were going to lose for a stretch. The game was basically pick at halftime. And now the bottom of the AFC playoff picture is a complete mess where New England, the Chargers, my New York Jets, they all have the same record at 7-6. And now when BetMGM go back up with these playoff odds, I think New England, you're going to see them around plus 150. And that's just because they've got a pretty tough schedule. They play at the Raiders. That game is pick. Then Cincinnati, Miami at Buffalo. And also, Patriots aren't that good. They're just not that good
right.
with the way that they're playing on offense at the moment. They'll be underdogs at home to Cincinnati, might be underdogs at home to Miami as well, and then certainly will be at Buffalo in Week 18, where Buffalo will probably have something to play for.
The Detroit, at the beginning of the year, when you saw Detroit at Jets on the schedule for Week 15, you're like, wow, that's a snoozer. That's going to be like the 5th regional for CBS or whatever.
Yeah.
Right, and now you're like,
blockbuster.
That's a great game.
Yeah.
That's something,
Game of the
great
week.
game. That, Jared Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown against Sauce Gardner and the Jets defense. I mean, one of those, I mean, that is a little bit of a win or go home kind of game for those two guys because, again, you saw the Jets kind of on the outside of that playoff bubble. Same with the Lions. The Lions sort of need to win out here to get into the playoffs. So that's a game with massive playoff implications and fantasy implications as well. Yep. So really looking forward to that, especially given the new usage of Bam Night.
Yes, the bandwagon filling right up. That game is pick. I'm going to say right now, the New York Jets, they win that game. Jared Goff has never had a good game on the road as a Detroit Lion. He's coming to the end of his second season there. He's not the same guy outdoors.
I mean, again, not to make this all about me, but the show is called Fantasy Football Happy Hour with Matthew Berry, and that's sort of my superpower is making whatever we're talking about me. So Kyler Murray, not only, obviously tough game last night, but he's my Dynasty League. I mean, he's the star of my Dynasty League team. So now I'm down 27 points to stupid Ed, and here's who I've got to start for quarterback. It's a 12-team, 25-man roster Superflex league, so it goes really deep, and it's with a bunch of my former ESPN colleagues, all my friends. So it's like Fields Yates is in this league, and Mike Clay and Stephania Bell, and a bunch of people that everyone knows, and so. I am playing, and Ed is a producer at ESPN. My former producer, love Ed, stupid Ed. I love him, but he's stupid. He shouldn't be starting Evan Ingram, although he's laughing now. But what I would say here is that here's who I have to choose at quarterback to make a big comeback against stupid Ed.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield.
Okay, that's bad.
Jared Goff on the road at the Jets.
Not great.
Trevor Lawrence. It's
against
a Superflex league against the Cowboys. It's a Superflex league.
Right?
I'm playing both of them, but I have to pick two of those three.
Yeah, you can't play Baker. I don't think you can play Baker. Tutu
I know,
Atwell.
but you're right, exactly.
You want to go down with Tutu Atwell?
Right. I mean, Trevor Lawrence against the Cowboys and Jared Goff at the Jets.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.